Namaskaram girls. How are you all? How did you spend your 1 week holiday? Have you prepared as per the schedule? Have you planned anything to study? Did you execute the plan in a successful manner? Have you completed the portions that we taught? What would be the answer, girls? Even though we come to school, we never touch our books always, isn't it? And moreover, we gave 1 week holiday, isn't it? If we want to achieve anything, we usually used to say that children that we should have a goal, we should have an aim, we should have some ambitions. To achieve that goal, you have to move forward. You should be earnestness, continuous effort, perseverance, isn't it? Without perseverance, we cannot achieve anything. We need effort. There is a saying, and also a boat which doesn't have a rope should not reach the bank, isn't it? The aimless life doesn't get any interest, passion. If you want to achieve the goal, you have to work for that. To work, how to work, that you should plan for that, isn't it? So, everything needs a plan. Without planning, if you start any work, it won't complete it successfully. If you plan your work at the earlier, almost the half work will be done, isn't it? We'll be able to guess our topic today, economic planning. How they have planned. What is the need of planning? Usually in lower sections we have studied what is the importance of planning. Why do we plan? What is the need of a plan? Will you be able to answer? For example, if you started studying for the examination, for your studying, we are giving some schedules based on the portions, based on the question and answers type. We are giving you a schedule and we will make you to study, isn't it? Why we are preparing the schedule? What is the need of the preparation of a schedule? Even day to day the teachers, they morning give you the schedule. The particular time the concerned subjects will be taught. And also the time of homework. Everything we are giving with time. That is plan. If you do the work without planning, it won't be success. There will be a collapse, isn't it? So, planning is very, very important in our life. If you plan a work, you can consume the time, you can consume the money. Everything will be successful in your hand. So, today's topic is economic planning. There is a saying of Margaret Thatcher. Plan your work today and every day and work your plan. First you have to plan what you are going to do. Then work your plan means you have to implement that. You have to execute the plan in a proper manner. Sometimes a good plan may be failed due to the lack of implementation. Sometimes even the bad plan will be get success because of the perfect implementation. So planning is not only important, the execution of the planning, the implementation of the planning also very, very important. So they have given plan your work today and every day and work your plan, given by Margaret Thatcher. Now we are going to see how the economist, how the country plan for its economic growth, economic development. Already we have studied the status of development of the countries, isn't it? Developed, undeveloped, developing, underdeveloped. 4 types of countries are there. Now we are going to see developed and underdeveloped countries, because developing will be included in the developed countries, undeveloped countries will come under the underdeveloped. So they have segregated into 2 categories. One is developed, the another one is undeveloped countries. We should know what is the meaning of developed and underdeveloped. Until the World War II, the people, they are not giving much importance to the planning. They didn't show. But the word development, the economic development and other things, came into exist after the Second World War. The meaning of development is the structural changes for the betterment of the society. That also we have already studied. The structural changes. Kattamaipu vasadigal maaride varum. In those days, people lived in a hut. Nowadays we are living in a centering houses, isn't it? Concrete houses, which is very stable. And also the people in those time, they only depend upon agricultural for their employment opportunity. But nowadays it has been increased. Even with the help of a mobile, you bring the world, isn't it? The world nowadays, it shrinks. Everything is in our hand. So the development refers to the structural changes for the betterment of the society. So as I said, until the World War II, they didn't show much interest on the development for the third world countries. But after that, they concentrated on the welfare of the people. And then the development, the planning concept came into exist. So they started analyzing the problem of the underdeveloped countries, and they have formulated the theories. So the problems leads to formulate the policies. Theories and policies. So they wanted to tackle the problem. They wanted to get a solution to the problem. So they formulated theories, models of development and growth. So when we were under the rule of British, when we were slave colonies to the England, people, they did not aware of the welfare and the development. So after getting independence in the year 1947, the people, they got an awareness of development and growth. So only the independence, after the independence, the awareness of the planning and the development and the growth has been existed. So, and we have 2 types of approaches to the economic development. One is traditional, the other one is new welfare oriented. Approaches to economic development. We have 2 various approaches. One is traditional approach, the another one is new welfare oriented approach. What do you mean by traditional approach? It is merely talking about, defines the development of the economic terms. That is, increase in the economic terms is called traditional approaches. In the traditional approaches, they came to know that the contribution of the 3 sectors to the GNP. Already you have studied in the second lesson, isn't it? Gross national product is the contribution of 3 sectors. Primary sector, secondary sector and the service sector already studied. Primary sector means agricultural. Secondary sector is industry. The service sector or tertiary sector is third one. So the contribution of agriculture has been declined while the industry and the service sector contribution has been increased. So at that time only the people they came to know the importance of industrialization. So the contribution towards the GNP emphasized the importance of industrialization to the economist. And the new welfare oriented economy is nothing but redefined as the structural changes. Already we studied, isn't it? So according to Michael P. Torando, what is economic development? Economic development is nothing but the multi-dimensional changes in all the aspects. That is, major changes in the social structure, popular attitudes, and also the national institution, acceleration of the popular economic growth, reduction of inequality, and eradication of poverty. So these are the main content of welfare oriented economic development, because as I said, after 1970 or after the World War II, the people they concentrated not only the economy but also the welfare of the society. The economy become a welfare economy. So the main aim to eradicate the poverty and also the inequality. And now we are going to see the features of undeveloped or underdeveloped economy. The UDC countries, already we studied, isn't it? Underdeveloped countries. UDCs means underdeveloped countries. What are the characteristics of underdeveloped country? Already we have studied. More population. If the population is more, the per capita income will be less, isn't it? Then productivity will be less. Income, employment, everything will be go down, isn't it? That is the character, feature of an underdeveloped country. So according to the World Bank, they divide the countries into three categories. One is low income group, LIG, low income countries or low income group, middle income countries, and the high level income countries. Low level income countries, one who is earning $906 and below. The per capita of the country is $906 and below is called low developed countries. Middle income group is $966 to $11,115. The per capita income between 906 to $11,115 is called middle income countries. The higher income countries, 11,116 and above, is called high income group or high income countries. So these are the data given by the World Bank regarding the development of the nations. Now we are going to see the underdeveloped economic growth and economic development. What is the difference between the economic growth and economic development? Both seems to be same, but there is a little bit difference between the economic growth and economic development. The economic growth, it once deals the problem of developed countries. Developed countries. On the other hand, economic development deals with the problem of the underdeveloped countries. Deals the problem of UDCs. Underdeveloped countries. While we talk about the output, it talks only the output of the, means only the output. That is how much it has produced. But the developed countries not only talks about the output but also its compositions. What are all the compositions? While we are talking about the output, production, also study about the allocation of resources, reduction of poverty, inequality, and employment. All these things should be included in the output. So, the economic growth talks about only the developed countries, how much they have produced. But here, the undeveloped countries or underdeveloped countries, they not only studied the output per unit, but also the composition like allocations of resources and other things. The changes of the growth, the changes of developed countries are gradual and steady. But here, the underdeveloped countries, changes will be discontinuous and spontaneous. Discontinuous and spontaneous. Because of the UDC, underdeveloped countries, they face so many problems. So their growth will not be gradual or steady. There will be a discontinuity during their increase. And then it talks about only the quantitative objects, how much it has produced. But here it talks about not only the quantity but also the quality. Quantity and qualitative aspects are seen. The scope of the economic growth is narrow towards the country. Here it has the wider concept. So the underdeveloped countries, while they are calculating the economic problems and while they are finding out the solution, they will think in a vast manner. They will include all the things, not only the growth, but also the changes. Has to be taken into account while they are calculating the scope of the developed countries. So, this is the difference between the economic growth and economic development. Now we are going to see the measurement of economic development in the next video. Next we are going to see the measurement of economic development under the 4 criteria, that is GNP, GNP per capita, welfare and also social indicators. First one is GNP. What do you mean by GNP? Already have studied in the second lesson, isn't it? What is the meaning for GNP? Is the total value of goods and services produced in a year in a nation is called GNP, isn't it? So, if you calculate the GNP of a nation, the GNP of a nation helps to measure the economic condition of the particular country, isn't it? If the GNP is higher, the quality of living of the people, the standard of the living of the people will be higher, then it will be a developed nation. So, based on the GNP, we can calculate whether it is a developed country or a developing country. So, to calculate the economic development, we need to calculate the GNP. That is, the higher the GNP, higher the quality of living of the people. So, GNP is one of the main criteria to calculate the development. The second one is GNP per capita. Already have studied what is per capita, isn't it? How do you calculate the per capita income? Yes, total income of the country divided by the population of the country bring you the per capita income. If the per capita is more, then the country will be developed. That is, if the population is less, the income is more, the standard of the living of the people will be more, higher, and it will be considered as a developed country. At the same time, if the population is more, income is less, or else if the population is less, income also less, the per capita income also will be less. So, if there is an increase in the per capita income, what do you mean by that? If the GNP is much high, what we studied in the first criteria, isn't it? If the GNP is very high, the population is low, then it emphasizes for economic development. That is, the per capita income should be more than population of the country. Then it will be a developed. We can consider that country is a developed country. By calculating the per capita income, we came to understand whether the country is developed or underdeveloped. So the per capita income determines the development of the country. And the third one is welfare. As I said already, nowadays the state is considered to be a welfare state, isn't it? So the economic development, it should bring the increase in the consumption. If the people are getting higher per capita income, they will consume more. The consumption will be increased. If the consumption increased, the country should not stop with that. It also considered the health, literacy and standard of the living of people. Only then it is considered to be development. If they concentrate only on the consumption of goods and services, it is not considered to be a welfare state. The welfare state not only consider the consumption but also consider they have to give importance to health, literacy and standard of living. And the last measurement is social indicators. The people of a country, they have some basic and collective needs like education, health, food, housing facilities, sanitation and others, isn't it? So if the country is able to provide all these things to the public, to the society, then it is considered to be a developed country. If the country is failed to serve these needs of the people, it is considered to be undeveloped or underdeveloped country. So these are the social indicators which determines the development of the country. You will be able to understand, girls. So these are the 4 measurements, that is GNP per capita and also welfare, social indicators. The next one we are going to see the determinants of economic development, that is economic factors and the non-economic factors, in the next video. Thank you, girls.